Hey folks, and welcome back to Fireside Farms. Today's gonna be a quick video just showing you how to braid hardneck garlic. And you heard me right, I said hardneck garlic. So if you didn't know, there are two major types of garlic, and one is hardneck, one is softneck. There are multiple differences between the types of garlic, but the main one being that softneck, as I have here, the stem remains soft once it dries, which means you can form these lovely little braids of garlic and hang them in your house. Now with hardneck garlic that I have here, these stems once dry remain really stiff. It's nearly impossible to do those multi-tiered braided garlic hanging things that you see in the store because they'll just snap once they're fully dried. And although with hardneck garlic you can't get that multi-headed braid going, you can plait it in a way so that you still have a lovely little hanging bunch of garlic. And this is what your finished product will look like. Now it's very flat, so it can just hang against a wall or hang separately if you wanted it to. But it is absolutely possible to braid hardneck garlic in this way. And I'm gonna show y'all how. So as you've seen on a previous video, I have harvested all of my garlic. Right here in these two rows, I have my silver skin. Excuse these herbs that are drying. Here in these two rows, I have my silver skin, which is a softneck garlic. And then on this side, as you can see by the purple, this is red Russian. And these are hardneck varieties. Now, everything on the outside is not completely dry. They were just harvested, I want to say last week. But these here in the middle were harvested first. And they're just about ready to go. And I'm going to braid these with you guys today. Now first things first, you'll have to excuse me, I'm going to do this on my garage floor. I don't really have a good table set up outdoors with good lighting where I could show you guys this. And this process is very messy. So keep in mind, if your hardneck garlic is sufficiently dried, it's going to be flaky and crusty and it's just going to make an absolute mess. So unless you want to clean up a huge mess, you probably don't want to do this inside. Now that also being said, when your garlic is completely cured, if you want to braid your hardneck garlic, you want some pliability still in the stem. So you don't want to be curing this for a full month outside where everything is crispy and crunchy, because at that point it's just going to snap in half and you won't be able to bend the stems to affix it to the braid. If you see here right in the center, I have still a little bit of green in here. It's not a whole lot, most of this is dry. And while you don't want it to be completely green because you don't want this to rot in the bent parts of the braid, you do want it mostly dry, but pliable enough that it's bendy. This is a little bit squishy. And as you can see here with this braid, I did braid it and then put it back outside with the fan to let it continue to dry, because I don't want to hang this inside with a ton of moisture bundled up in these knots and then have these bulbs rot. So there is walking a fine line of pliability and dryness that we need when we're doing this. Secondly, in preparation of doing this, if your stalks are pretty stiff from the curing process, just take your fingers like this and kind of massage right here to get them a little bendy. You're going to need them to bend at a 90-degree angle without snapping in half. So just taking a little extra couple seconds to ensure that these are a little pliable, softening them up will really help in the process. Help you not snap off all of your stems like I did this one when I braided the other one. Just snapped right in half. So when you have your garlic and you're prepared to do the braid, start plying these apart, making them nice and soft, ready to go. Now first things first, after you've made the stems pliable and everything, you want to clean up your garlic heads. As I explained in the previous harvesting video, when you set these out to cure, you want to get as much dirt out of the roots as possible so that it doesn't stay moist right here. But you leave all the dirt on the head, save for large chunks, because when this comes out of the ground, these wrappers are very, very soft. And if you started brushing off a ton of dirt, you might just take off the wrapper and then the bulb wouldn't store as long. So before we start braiding these, We do want to clean up the dirt and trim off the roots so that you have a nice, beautiful head of garlic in your braid. During this cleaning process is also going to be the time that you check for any bad bulbs, any deformities, something that didn't cure right. You don't want to put a bad bulb into the braid. As that saying goes, one bad apple will spoil the bunch. You put a rotten bulb in your braid, it might just spur all the others to rot and be pretty gross. So you want nice firm heads, firm bulbs. Clean off as much of this dirt as possible. And then we're ready to go. As you can see right here, I have left a little bit of dirt on here. I don't necessarily want to take off more wrappers than this. The wrappers on the outside of the garlic clove are what preserves it long term. Now granted, hardneck garlic does not preserve as long as softneck garlic does, but nonetheless, I'll be fine leaving a little bit of dirt on this outer wrapper until I'm ready to use the cloves, because I don't want to take more wrappers off than need be and just lose out on storage capabilities. As you can see right here, I went too far with the wrapper, and you can see these individual bulbs. We don't want to wrap this in our braid because we are now missing the outermost layer of this wrapper, and this garlic will not last as long as the rest will. So this is a garlic head that's going to go straight to the kitchen for use as quickly as possible. The same goes for this garlic bulb right here. It's pretty solid on this side, but then you have these protruding bulbs right here. This is also not going to store very well. We want to take this one inside and use it before the rest. So here I have all of the garlic I'm going to put into the braid today. Obviously, if you wanted the most beautiful and aesthetic braid, you would try and make all of these the same size, the same shape, and clean them up a bit more. But this is real food that I grew myself. It's perfect, it's organic, and I waited 6 months for it. So I don't care if it looks ugly, because real food sometimes looks like this. Not everything is uniform and pretty when you grow it yourself like it is in the supermarket. So we are going to braid these, and let me show you how. So to start the braiding process, I'm going to use this shortest one that I have here. The rest of the stalks will hold this in place, but I want to make sure I have enough stalk on each plant that I can do my wrapping efficiently. So this short one's going to be in the middle, and we're just going to place this down on the ground, and this will be our starting point. With our next clove, we're going to take it over the top in this cross fashion here. And this is where the massaging of the stem comes into place, because what we're going to do is we're going to bend it over and through. So here it makes this sort of braid. We went over the top, came under, and went back up so that the two stalks are lying next to each other. Now when you bend this clove over, the stem over, you want enough room right here at the beginning of the stalk so that as you are using your garlic, you can just come down and cut and have your bulb of garlic. If you made this shorter so that this was right up against the other stalk, you wouldn't have any room to get some scissors in here and just cut off one bulb. So you want to be sure and give yourself plenty of stem right here at the beginning so that you can easily harvest your garlic for the kitchen when you need it from this braid. So the next side we're gonna do is going to be the opposite side, directly above the first clove we did. And it's just going to be in the opposite direction. We're gonna lay it over the top, come around the back, under the bottom, and bring it up so that all of the stalks line up in a row. And from here we have our first 3 sets of a plate. And it's going to continue like this all the way up the top until you have no more room, or however many you want in your braid. Now I like to push mine down a bit, push it down towards the bottom just so I can get more cloves in. And we'll keep going. Back to the opposite side, around, and up. Now you will have to clean up these as they go. They are dried, so they will be flaking all over the place, but it's perfectly fine for that to happen. Push it down, and let's take one more. Across and under, and then we're gonna tie it off. You can continue going up, but these are pretty dry and they're getting a little brittle, and I'm taking off a lot. So I'm gonna stop here, and you can tie this with jute twine or a string, whatever you want. I'm going to use this So here we have our semi-completed braid, and from here we just want to clean it up a bit if you want. I mean, you don't really have to, I guess. You can clean up some of these stray pieces that make it look ugly. You can make it more presentable. And here we are. So from here, you could, if you can, see, depending on how dried out these stems are, normally I would tell you to bend them over. And then you can make a little loop right here to hang it from. These stems are pretty dry. So with the string that you use to tie all this together, you could just hang it from there. You could, you know, weave a little string around, do whatever you wanted to make it prettier and be able to hang it. But essentially, here is your braid of hardneck garlic. Now, I say braid loosely, this is technically not a braid, but it is one way to be able to hang your hardneck garlic. Normally, with hardneck garlic, a lot of people will just cut off the tops like this, cut off the roots, stick everything in some sort of you know, breathable bag and store them that way, which I will do with a lot of these because they are too crunchy to be able to braid. But if by chance you want to try it, you want to store them when they're a little bit softer, there is absolutely a way to do it. How awesome. So as you can see, this made an absolute mess. Just forewarning you guys, in case you try and do this inside, it gets little crispy pieces everywhere, especially while you're cutting off the roots and cleaning up the final product. Kind of looks like a spine. So because I still have all this green stuff right here, I'm still going to leave this out here to cure a little bit longer, just to make sure we don't get a bunch of moisture up here sticking around before I put this guy inside to hang. And there we have it. It is absolutely possible to braid hardneck garlic into some sort of hanging fashion, some sort of wall decoration. Like I said, the other method is just as good, cutting off the roots, cleaning up the bulbs, cutting off the tops, and then storing it in bags like this. But there are always options, and pretty options. I know when I first started growing garlic, All I heard was hardneck garlic is unbraidable, you can't do it, you'll just have to keep it in a bag. Absolutely not true. So I hope y'all learned something today. Hope you try it out for yourselves. And thank you for joining me. I will catch you on the next one.